Today, we are going to fundamentally rethink how we build agent memory. You know, for the last couple of years, the entire tech industry pretty much agreed on exactly one way to give an AI model context: vector databases. But what if the absolute best way to store your company's structured knowledge isn't a complex, expensive database at all? What if it's literally just a folder of text files? Today, we're unpacking Google's Open Knowledge Format, or OKF, and it is a real game changer.
Okay, let's jump straight into this architectural debate. On one hand, you have traditional RAG. We're talking chopping documents into thousands of fragments, embedding them into vectors, paying a super hefty monthly bill to maintain the whole shebang, and constantly fighting with fuzzy similarity matching. But on the other hand, we have Google's new standard. It's just a simple, completely free GitHub folder filled with curated, plain markdown files. It's version controlled, you can read it easily, and it completely shifts the paradigm of how our agents actually learn.
So, Section 1, the AI memory problem and why RAG is failing us. To get why OKF is so great, we really need to expose the fatal flaw in how we currently teach AI about our businesses.
Think about it. It is actually absurd that we force highly structured business logic through a fuzzy similarity search. With traditional RAG, the model doesn't remember a single thing between queries. Every time you ask a question, your agent gets handed a fresh pile of shredded paper, and it has to magically reassemble your business logic on the fly. It's like alphabetizing your entire kitchen and then trying to find the salt by smell. It's incredibly inefficient, and for structured data, you're practically begging for errors.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you've got 10,000 messy support tickets or a mountain of PDFs, you absolutely want to keep your vector database for that unstructured long-tail info. OKF doesn't kill RAG. But for your structured backbone, things like your APIs, your core metrics, your runbooks, OKF gives your agent exactly what it needs without any of that fuzzy guessing. It sets up deliberate graph traversal. That means your agent is walking a portable, version-controlled asset instead of just taking a stab in the dark.
Moving right along to Section 2, the OKF paradigm shift. Let's see how this creates a completely new way to store enterprise knowledge.
Simply put, OKF treats your knowledge as a portable, vendor-neutral asset. It frees your data from being locked inside a black box database. Released recently by Google Cloud, an OKF bundle is really just a directory. There's no SDK, no runtime to manage, no proprietary API to install. Every single markdown file inside this directory represents exactly one concept. Maybe it's a specific table, a metric, or a playbook. And because it's just plain markdown, you own it entirely. It will easily outlive whatever software vendor you happen to be using today.
There is this brilliant quote from Andrej Karpathy that hits the nail on the head. He talks about building a living wiki that compounds in intelligence over time, rather than just starting from absolute zero on every query. We call this the LLM wiki pattern, and the shift is profound. Instead of forcing the system to do all the heavy lifting at the exact millisecond you ask a question, the agent does the work up front. It builds, links, and maintains a living encyclopedia in the background. So when you finally ask something, it just reads the finished answer.
All right, Section 3, Anatomy of an OKF Bundle. Let's pop the hood and look at the technical architecture here.
So how do you map your internal business logic into OKF? You just need a simple YAML front matter checklist at the top of every markdown file. This feeds the agent context bit by bit, and honestly, it's pretty much the only hard rule in the OKF standard. When an agent opens a file, it reads this metadata block first. The type field is absolutely crucial. It tells the agent instantly if it's looking at a dataset or an API. Then, it reads a quick one-sentence description. This is huge because the agent can read just that tiny snippet to decide if it even needs to load the rest of the document. That alone saves you a massive amount of token costs and processing time.
By carefully designing your file paths and linking concepts, you guarantee consistent performance. Here's how the agent actually navigates. It starts at a reserved file called index.md, which is basically the front door or table of contents. From there, it finds the strict identity of a concept based solely on its file path. And then, it just follows ordinary markdown links. If a metric links to a database table, the agent clicks the link. It navigates exactly like a human browsing a wiki, which completely eliminates those awful hallucinations we usually get from semantic search.
Section 4, Engineering Workflows, Treating Metadata as Code. Let's explore how this fundamentally changes team collaboration on shared agent brains.
Treating metadata as code means we get to integrate OKF directly into our existing CI/CD pipelines. This gives us a beautiful, version-controlled history of our company's intelligence. Since OKF is just text, it lives perfectly inside a Git repo. When your AI agent spots a new database table or updates a metric, it just writes the markdown and commits it. Then your human engineers review that change in a totally standard pull request. Actually, if a definition is wrong, you simply roll it back. You can literally watch the diffs to see how your company's knowledge is evolving.
Okay, let's look at the division of labor here because it's brilliant. Historically, wikis fail because, well, humans abandon them. Nobody wants to update 15 cross-reference pages just because one API endpoint changed. Under the OKF model, the AI handles all of that boring, tedious upkeep. Your human team members get to be the editors and strategists, curating the repository and reviewing pull requests, while the AI tirelessly writes the markdown and makes sure every single link perfectly connects.
And I've got to say, what I love most about this is how it transforms onboarding. It becomes almost instantaneous. When a new engineer joins, they don't have to waste 3 weeks tapping people on the shoulder trying to figure out how some legacy system works. They literally just pull the OKF repository. From day one, they and their local AI coding assistants have perfectly formatted version-controlled context of exactly how your business operates. It completely solves the tribal knowledge problem.
Which brings us to Section 5, the OKF migration plan. How do we actually step away from legacy systems and start doing this?
Now you might be wondering, do I have to write all this manually? No way! There are some fantastic tools and scripts out there to automate this. First off, Google shipped an enrichment agent specifically for BigQuery that will auto-generate concept documents right out of your data tables. If you've already got a folder of loose markdown notes, there are community scripts that convert them into OKF bundles and automatically generate your index files. And my favorite? There's an HTML visualizer you can run in your terminal. It turns your folder into an interactive visual web of interconnected nodes. Seeing your company's knowledge mapped out right in front of you is incredibly satisfying.
And the best part? You don't have to boil the ocean to get started. You can just execute this step-by-step 5-era pilot plan to fix your biggest headaches today. Just pick the 5 things your current RAG system consistently gets wrong, like a specific financial metric or a server runbook. Write 5 simple markdown files, give them a YAML header, link them together, and drop them in a Git repo. Point your agent at it, and you'll watch its accuracy skyrocket immediately because it's finally reading true structure instead of shredded paper.
Finally, Section 6, the future of knowledge. Let's wrap things up by looking at the long-term benefits here.
I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. Is your company's knowledge compounding like interest, or is it starting from zero every single day? Write your knowledge down once in an open format, and let your agents walk that graph forever. Are you going to keep renting access to your own business logic inside a black box vector database, paying a toll every time you query? Or are you going to adopt a standard, vendor-neutral folder that makes your team smarter with every single commit? The choice is totally yours, but for sure, I know which one the smartest engineering teams are going with. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.